They're on the cards, digital ID cards. Well, actually, not quite ID cards as such, but something you'd have to carry on your mobile phone or another device if you were seeking or sought employment. Speech later today here with the details and some of the nuts and bolts of how it will work. LBC's political editor, Natasha Clark, joins me in the studio. Morning, Natasha. Good
morning, Nick. Yes, the Keir Starmer starting, I think, his fight back today after, well, let's be honest, it's been a really turbulent 3 weeks for his government, hasn't it? And we've got the Labour Party conference up in Liverpool next week where he's hoping to join all of his government and all of those members back together. And he's kicking it off today with a major speech today, launching his new ID cards policy. This is a bid, he says, to crack down on illegal migration. He also says it will make it easier for us to prove who we are. Now, this will become mandatory by the end of the Parliament. They say that is all for now. You spoke earlier to the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, who told you that they will make sure they do all they can to make sure the homeless, those with disabilities, can use them too.
This is something that we are, as a government, are going to roll out by the end of this Parliament. But what is not settled is the precise details of how we roll it out. We're in particular planning to consult. There are groups of people for whom this is going to be slightly more complicated. For example, older people, yes, people with disabilities, homeless people. We know from other countries where they've pioneered this approach that is more complicated. We want to make sure that every person in the UK has a digital ID, and so we are planning to consult on the precise details of how to ensure that those groups are included.
Now, we don't have all of the details of exactly who will get these ID cards and when, but under Labour's plans, we understand that anybody starting a new job will be required to show this so-called digital ID, which will then be checked against a central database, which obviously already exists in government. It's already something that you have to do anyway when you sign up for a new job, isn't it? You have to show your passport, your driving licence, your national insurance number.
It's been a while since I started a new job, Natasha. I don't think you were even born when I started. Anyway, go on. Natasha Clark continues.
You never know what's around a corner for you, Nick. And it will be given just to UK citizens at first, but obviously that will raise the questions of how it's going to be rolled out on the so-called migrants and people who are coming here, especially who are already working, as we know, many times, many occasions in the black market. We spoke when you spoke earlier with Lisa Nandy. However, one of the main criticisms of this is it's been an example of the state getting bigger, basically a nanny state, not a nanny state, rather sort of a state that can spy on you, a state
bullying
that
state in
exactly
a
state that will basically be able to show your papers. You've got on the front page of the Daily Mail, it's returning to the days of East Germany. But Lisa Nandy hit back at claims today that this was an example of that. She said she defended that today, when obviously the Prime Minister said last year that he wanted this to tread lighter on our lives. It's got quite a mixed reaction from Westminster politicians. The Liberal Democrats are opposing it. Reform are opposing it. Kemi Badenoch has called it just a gimmick. But actually, Nick, Britain is one of the only countries in Europe, apart from Ireland, without this form of ID card. It's very widespread across the continent, and generally public opinion, including here in Britain, is quite supportive of this. Now, the reason why the Prime Minister is trying to sort of get his government back on track, of course, it's all about Reform UK, isn't it? It's fighting back against Nigel Farage, and he will be really disappointed today to see this fresh new poll that's come out from YouGov. It's one of their big MRP polls. It's not good news for him. It says Reform UK is now close enough to having enough support to form a majority government if an election is going to be held today. They have extended their lead over Labour since the last time they did one of those. Now, obviously, we know they've only got 5 MPs at the moment, of course, and we are nowhere near a general election. But if an election was held tomorrow and people vote how they say they are going to, they could be on track to have 311 MPs. That will make it the largest party and put us on course for a hung parliament too.
The speed with which politics moves now is incredible, isn't it? 12 months ago, like Labour, I mean, I can remember when it looked like Boris Johnson was going to be he forever. It just moves at such a pace, doesn't it?
Exactly. And, 4 years ago, Boris Johnson was riding high in the polls and there was a vaccine bounce for him and he was doing incredibly well. But yes, it really is incredibly difficult for Keir Starmer to turn this around, and he is obviously going to be facing a huge uphill struggle. I think my sort of first thoughts on this announcement really are, well, is this really it? Is this enough? Are you going to actually be able to turn the tide against reform just by telling people that they're going to have an ID card? Is that really going to be enough? Also, does it not just drive people into that whole anti-establishment attitude that Nigel Farage absolutely thrives on, that the Reform government, if one came in, are absolutely, they are very anti-establishment. They very much are distrusting. And I think that's what a lot of people actually are voting for Nigel Farage for. So does this not give them another reason to do so? So is this going to turn it around? And will this even do something to stop illegal migration in the first place? If you already have these checks that are meant meant to be happening anyway. Why aren't they working? Is sort of my question, rather than rolling out a whole new system to try to clamp down on what is 0.05% of all workers.
LBC's political editor Natasha Clark reporting. Now, the idea harks back in part to Sir Tony Blair's government, or Tony Blair as it was then, passed legislation to approve ID cards back in 2006. But the scheme faced technical challenges and political opposition and failed to be implemented before the coalition government, led by the Conservatives, took over in 2010 and effectively scuppered it. Speaking at the time, then Tony, now Sir Tony, explained why he thought they would work.
The point is, for a small addition of cost, we are going to be able to give ourselves an identity card that then has these other benefits internally.
Now, the current Prime Minister has been on a bit of a journey here because he was once sceptical of the idea. Of course, that is not surprising, given his lawyerly background and his work in human rights. But we understand he will use a speech later today to say digital ID cards hold an enormous opportunity for the country and will help combat illegal working while making it easier for people to access public services. Speaking earlier this month, Sir Keir insisted the conversation around these cards has changed since Blair's days, and now it is an opportune moment to introduce it.
My instinct is it can play an important part. Obviously, we need to look through some of the detail, but I think that 20 years or so on, a couple of decades on, people are looking differently about the idea of digital then cards, probably more digital ID now.
Yeah, I really do need to be guided by you on this one. I just don't know. My immediate reaction is, whoops, a bit worried. But then you see how they can work, and Emmanuel Macron suggested, didn't he, that they've worked rather well in France. I think it's wrong just to automatically write them off, which, unsurprisingly, of course, the opposition has done. Kemi Badenoch.
Keir Starmer scrapped the Rwanda removals plan without having any other plan in place. He said he was going to smash the gangs. He hasn't done that. Digital ID cards is not going to smash the gangs or stop the boats.
And civil liberty groups have said it's simply un-British, warning older and more vulnerable people could be locked out of essential services. Critics might cite this part of Sir Keir's speech on the steps of Downing Street back in July last year, of course, when he took office, promised to, quotes, tread lightly on our lives.
You have given us a clear mandate, and we will use it to deliver change, to restore service and respect to politics, end the era of noisy performance, tread more lightly on your lives, and unite our country.
Let's try and find out a little more how they will work before we come to your reactions, which is, of course, what we're about in the morning here. Alexander Iosad is Director of Government Innovation at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change and joins me now. Thank you very much for coming in, Mr. Iosad. I appreciate you've not devised this actual model, but broadly speaking, how do they work? How do people get them? Where do they store them? Morning to you, sir.
Thanks, Nick. Good morning. Thanks for having me on. So what digital ID is, it's a lot more than that caricature of an ID card that's dominated debate for so long. It allows you to prove that you are who you are by checking that your identity is verified. It allows you to prove that certain things about you are true in ways that are much more consistent and much easier. You don't have to go looking for 3 months of bills to prove your address, that sort of thing. And it also allows us to provide a much better public service to you, because knowing those things, we can come to you and say, we know you're eligible for this. Do you want to have it? Rather than have you fill out pages and pages of forms.
Does it also help with the challenge of illegal migration into the country, in your view, Alexander?
Yes, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve any of the challenges we face all by itself. But what it does is it takes out a massive plank of the marketing strategies that gangs use when they exploit people to smuggle them into the country. It also makes it much, much harder for those gangs to get through the loopholes that exist in the current system, where they can sell paper passports for 12 grand a pop and then bypass all verification. It also makes enforcement easier, because we can see which employers or rogue landlords are not doing the checks they're supposed to do.
There's a lively dialogue going on in the media, unsurprisingly, people talking about passports and driver's licences. Of course, you don't need a passport and you don't need a driver's licence. Not a lot of people don't drive. But don't we all get our national insurance number, or indeed our NHS card, upon birth or upon reaching a certain age? Couldn't that be in some way tailored, Alexander?
We get an NHS number when we're in the country. We get a national insurance number when we reach a certain age. Also, those things are true. What we currently do for these types of checks when it comes to migration is we try to use a passport or a paper document. We have a lot of different ways that we try to verify things through. And so people have an excuse to say, oh, I did it that way. If you have one consistent way that everyone is using and it's easy to use, that means it's much easier to enforce.
Got to address one thing. There are pensioner organisations and organisations that represent vulnerable folk who say they might find it very difficult. They might be left behind. Indeed, it's not the law that we have to carry a mobile phone, because it's going to be stored on my phone, as I understand. Is that right? It will probably be stored on my mobile phone. Is that right?
Your mobile phone would probably, and as you say, we're speculating a little bit here on the detail, be one of the ways in which you can access it. But international experience shows that it is possible to build systems that are more inclusive than our current approach to providing public services. Think back to pension credit example last year, where a lot of pensioners found out they were eligible for something from the state. They just never got it. And that means that with digital ID, we can actually reach them and provide the right level of service.
What about those who could be left behind? Tony Watts is leader of the Age Action Alliance. Well, we seem to be waking up to almost a done deal here on these digital ID cards. How does it hit you? How does it hit the people that you represent? Morning, Mr. Watts.
Good morning, Nick. Well, you can see the benefits, and the last speaker spelled out some of those, but you can also see some potential flaws in the system regarding older people. There's some huge ramifications for those who already find it difficult to operate within the digital world, and many of those, but not all, are older people. It's an interesting fact here. 1.5 million people in over 65 in the UK are in work, so it's going to affect them. 450,000 are aged 70 and over, 170,000 are 75 and over. So I can only assume they will also be brought into this net. And many, perhaps even most, will be digitally savvy, but not everyone. And one of the things that's been missing from the debates I've listened to so far is the fact that it does seem to cover renting a property. And older renters also will presumably need digital ID too. And there's 500,000 households in the UK currently being rented by people aged 65 and over. So that's a figure that's doubled in the last 10 years, and it's increasing rapidly. So many of these people will not be comfortable with IT. And as for smartphones, great, but not everyone does have a smartphone. No. There's a quarter of people in the UK aged 65 and over who do not even have a smartphone. So,
do you mean even a mobile phone, do you mean?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Like the old-fashioned dumb phones and things. Many people have got those. But
I see. I'm so sorry. Yeah, just the simple with the simple code. The keys to press them. Got it. Yeah.
But if your life is going to be on a smartphone, as many people, mine certainly is, I'm sure yours is. Many people's lives are on their smartphones now, but that doesn't apply to a huge swathe of the population. And if you've got eyesight problems, cognition issues, you've got arthritic fingers, you may not want to have a phone, and if that's going to be effectively your passport in daily life, not just for but for this, is going to be quite problematic.
But let me put this to you, Mr. From my other contributor, we did, and he's right, we did find out that some people were missing out on benefits to which they were entitled. Some of the people that you represent. Is there an argument that with this, actually, those sort of omissions would not take place and they would get the cash that they were due?
Yeah, I think the pension credit one is slightly more complicated than perhaps the last speaker indicated, because, the government already has this information about people's incomes. If that's the case, then presumably they could have notified them anyway. So I'm not quite sure how 800,000 people or so are still missing out on that benefit. Right. But my concern is a bit of mission creep here, is that extending the use of digital ID to all parts of our life. And it's already difficult for many people to book an appointment with their doctor, using public transport, all these sorts of things. And it's simply going to further isolate, it's going to push into a corner a large number of people who really don't feel part of our world. So
I will leave it there. Tony Watts, thank you. You're leader of the Age Action Alliance. Here we go. Ian in Waterloo. Yes or no to a digital ID card, and why? Good morning.
Hello, morning, Nick. 100%. Morning. 100% yes.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Tell
definitely.
Me why.
Well, when do we actually use our or need to show our passport or our driving licence, apart from the passport when we're going abroad and the driving licence when maybe we've had a run-in with the police?
Yeah.
The other
sometimes
thing,
to collect goods at those pickup places. You know what I'm trying to say? Not Amazon come to you. The other one where you sometimes do collect goods, post offices and places like that. Post office.
We don't use them that much. So, no. But this digital ID is great. I think it will help to cut crime. I think it will stop the illegal migration. People, if they come here and they know they can't work in the black market, that's great. That dissuades them from coming here.
And I don't want to rain on the parade. And Ian, I'm genuinely, very rare for me, I'm genuinely in the middle on this one, but you're never going to completely do away with the black market, are you?
You're not going to completely. It's always going to be there. Del Boy was around in the 80s, and there's still Del Boys around now. But this is going to help to stop. If that disincentivises people who are over in Calais and over in northern France at the moment, and they think, well, if we get there, we're not going to be able to work. We're going to be, hopefully, if they get sorted out soon, we're going to be dealt with quickly and then deported. Then that disincentivises them. As with the older people who haven't got smartphones, we're not, or the government's not saying you need to go out and buy a brand new iPhone for £1,000. You can get second-hand phones. It'll be stored on there. I think it's a great idea. And yeah, I'm fully.
And you're absolutely for it. I'm putting that as a tick. You're a man who says yes. Ian, thank you. Steve's in Grays. Are you equally as enthusiastic as Ian? Steve, good morning.
No, I'm not actually.
Tell me why, sir.
I'm 64 and I've got, with these phones, these smartphones, my hands shake because I've got arthritis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And every time, you touch these phones, you're touching something that you don't really mean to either.
Right.
And also, I think with the ID card thing, like everything else, they'll get copied. What's the word to use?
Copied, right. Illegal copies will be made. Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
Yeah, Nick. So, and another thing to that as well, I've done all my worrying, bringing up my kids, buying houses, stuff like that. There's time for me to relax, not to worry about none of this. Let the world get on with it. I had the best childhood, the best working life.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a lorry driver.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
How does that work with your arthritic hand? That must be really tough, having the steering wheel, no?
Yeah, well, it's when I relax my hands, they go like a claw.
I might be going around the M25 on the weekend. Can you not relax your hands on the Essex stretch? I'll be quite grateful. About 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
I'm at home, mate. Don't worry about it.
Safe driving. Thanks for the work you do. The best drivers on the world, professional lorry drivers. Extraordinary brand of men and women. Ben's in Littlehampton. Ben, how relaxed or otherwise are you over this? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Just a little bit frustrating, to be honest.
Tell me why.
Well, I'll probably speak on behalf of the working class people of this country, where a little bit of plastic is now going to solve things.
Well, it's not. It's on your mobile. It'll be on your phone. But anyway, go ahead. Roughly,
like most things on a mobile phone. If I type in a hair razor on Amazon, it then pops up on some social media. People have kind of had enough of hearing things from the government saying a bit of plastic will solve this, a bit of plastic will solve that. It's just nonsense after nonsense. The working class people have genuinely had enough of this government, previous governments, anything they say. There's no faith in it anymore, to be honest, Nick.
Do you have any faith in any political party or politician?
Well, it's just one thing after another with people, isn't it, at the moment? They're going to say this, they'll do this, nothing happens. The march that happened in London a few weeks ago, I knew a lot of good people who went on that march, and it was then turned out
there have been a number of marches. Which one was this, Ben, to be specific?
The one where it got made out, it was...
What was it supporting?
Unite You Kingdom.
Oh, you're right. Okay, Unite the Kingdom. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. There was a lot of good people who went on that march who it was portrayed to be right wing where it wasn't. People just had enough of the government. They just see. I woke up this morning. I've never on the radio, and I found out now Keir Starmer's pumping out ID cards. It's just so ridiculous. The working class people, I'm a self-employed electrician. So I work hard. You work hard, then you have to pay more tax. You pay more tax. It's just constant. There's no incentive to do anything anymore.
All right. Ben, it's a very definitive no from you. Thank you, and I understand why. John in Coventry. John, your reaction. Where will you be on this? Because it's going to happen now.
Well, I mean, he's not put it to Parliament. He's going out on his own sort of mandate, and
it's going to happen. Though we heard from the Culture Secretary.
He's a gentleman who slammed somebody in prison for a tweet for 30 months. So you put the two together, and it's the thin end of the wedge. So when he says
he didn't sentence that woman, but I hear what you're saying. It's on his administration. Yes, on you go. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm a crane driver. I've worked in construction for 25 years. There is ID schemes in construction already. There's photographic ID.
Do they work?
It's the most riven place of employment exploitation. And the first people to get there are the people employing the guys that go on site. They know if they get a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and they turn up on site, it's not the site agent's job to go and call immigration to say it's the wrong person. They're just going to say, you get on with it, mate. There you go. And that's how it works, Nick. That is the blunt
So there's a
truth.
lot of illegal working on building sites, is there?
Huge, and it's involved with the agencies as well. The agencies are fronting a lot of it. So, yeah.
But don't they risk massive... I am told by government ministers they risk massive fines, no?
Well, it's all vagueness, isn't it? It's all people disappearing, it's all shared IDs, and it's all people with the same surname and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's been going on for years, Nick, and it's an absolute joke. And the only people this is going to affect is the indigenous population, who again get smashed over the head by the government, and everybody else gets away with it scot-free.
Well, it's exactly what Ben just said. There's a lot of negative reaction to that. Thank you for your call, John, and your experience working on those building sites.